Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Josh. Today we have Anthony Colangelo again with us for Main Engine Cutoff. So many days in a row you're coming back to visit us.
I have one shirt in my wardrobe.
we appreciate you being here for so many days in a row. And T.S. Kelso, same with you. Thanks for being here again. T.S. Kelso from CelesTrak. He's the man he's the godfather of all satellite tracking on the internet for the last 35 years. So if you don't know who he is, check out the other videos. If you don't know Main Engine Cutoff, go to the website and subscribe to the podcast. We have a pretty cool treat here today. We have data from a paper that Dan Oltrogge, the director of Center for Space Standards and Innovation, and Sal Alfano put together, where they've aggregated all of the satellites that have applied for a license over the next 10 years. And they're presenting a paper on this very soon, and we will have a link for the paper down below that you can actually read the paper, but we have a visualization to go along with it, and we thought it'd be pretty cool to share with you guys, and so you can see what it's like if all of these things go up in the next 10 years. So TS, why don't you go ahead and hit play on that guy? All right, so what you're looking at here is you're going to see satellites start adding into this visualization, and they're going to be the color of the dot is going to be the color of the company for that year. And then when it goes on to the next year, the previous year is going to turn white. So this is starting off in 2017, and we're going to go all the way for a few more years here. But keep in mind, as you see these dots, this is notional data, right? This is based on public information we got on the filings of applying for applications with the FCC and the ITU to put these many satellites up there. We don't know the launch schedule of these satellites. We're sort of making some assumptions, and there's more about this in Sal and Dan's paper, making some assumptions on launch schedules because we don't know that information. And if we did know that information, we probably wouldn't be allowed to tell you that information. So this is just within a year-ish of being right. This is a ballpark thing to look at. And so you can see now that's starting to get a lot more crowded. There's some SpaceX satellites going up, and we know that the Starlink, those are already up there. So here we are at 2020. Now we're in the future. It's getting a lot busier.
Next year, they've said that they want to do about 24 launches of Starlink in 2020 alone. And based on this, they're doing about one a month now at the end of 2019. They've certainly got reusable boosters, so they have plenty of rockets in their barn as it is, and plenty of capacity to do this kind of launch, especially as some of their commercial manifest slows down. So you can see they have quite the ability to put up a lot of satellites into orbit in the next couple of years here.
Yeah, we're only 2 years out at this point, and look how many new satellites. Again, we're not showing any existing satellites, and we're not showing any debris. This is only the satellites that have applied for to put the satellites. Only the companies and their satellites that have applied in the future. So there's a good chance that these satellites are not going to make it, right? There could be funding issues. There could be technical issues. Who knows? This is not a guarantee that all these things are going to happen, but this is what's currently planned right now. And this is in addition to the 20,000 other space objects that are already being tracked up there.
And there are some new rules in place for some constellations about your launch schedule. And when you apply for spectrum through the FCC or ITU or anyone, there's a strict schedule that you have to hit to maintain that licensing. So if you only launch a certain amount of satellites and you don't launch them all in 6 or 9 years, depending on which rule it is, you could get capped at a certain number of satellites. So, somebody like Amazon could only make it partway through their constellation before they have their license pulled down to a lower number, which kind of goes in with that same thing that you're talking about, that all of this notional stuff that we're looking at here, there's a lot of change that might happen, but, I think this probably, as someone who runs CelesTrak, this probably scares you with the amount of data that you're kind of multiplying here.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of people looking to understand what's going on, and the ability to be able to portray it is going to be a bit of a challenge as well, right?
Probably going to have to get a couple of new servers for you.
Well, that would be nice, but just to be able to do things like conjunction assessment, for example, is going to become increasingly more difficult as the number of objects go up.
And now we're starting to see some Chinese companies that have been talked about in the past as putting up constellations. But of course, we don't have a lot of visibility into what some of those companies are planning in China. They haven't been particularly public yet with their plans. So that's another factor here as well that we don't know about.
And this is the first time you're seeing this visualization.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I heard you talk about it a couple of times when you were in the work, but it's much more overwhelming than I expected from your description of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff being added, and it looks it's mesmerizing almost when you look at that globe like that. But we're pretty full up already, and we're not done with the video. There's still a couple more years to add on some more satellites.
Right.
And we had a pretty long discussion earlier. You can check out the videos for that as well, where we were talking about some of the different things that the community at large is going to have to develop to maintain this kind of environment. There's going to be a lot more, working together to make sure that everyone knows where everyone's satellites are, they can avoid them successfully, and especially when you're talking about, satellite internet, you've got to also make sure that you're not broadcasting over each other so that you're disrupting each other's service, which is another factor, let alone running into each other in physical space, but also in spectrum. Right. That could be a real problem as well.
Yeah, I've heard some of our RF guys say it's no longer a matter of if you're going to have satellite interference, it's when, and you have to deal with it. It's a new world with your amount of comm signals up there, is you're going to have to build that into your system and know that it's going to happen on a regular basis. Wow, so I think the video is about over here, and you can see quite a few satellites have added at all different altitudes. It's kind of hard to even make them out anymore because there's so many of them.
It's a bit on the sobering side, right?
All right, so that's it. That's all the satellites that are planned, that are currently in the works, that could potentially happen. But even if it's 50% of them, it's a significant increase of about tenfold of what is the current satellite catalog up there right now.
One of the things that I find interesting, a lot of the show that I do is kind of focused on business strategy, and there's a lot of competitors in this list. So one of the things that, much like we've seen with terrestrial cable or internet or telephones, there's always a lot of consolidation of carriers. And someone's buying someone else and taking over what they've already put up there. So how many of these names are going to be merged by later on? And the Amazon constellation might actually be the Amazon and Boeing constellation, or just some other merge between SpaceX and someone else. So that's another factor here too. It might not be that these companies are flying the satellites they've launched, but other ones in the future as they kind of merge and the market expands and contracts.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out mainenginecutoff.com and CelesTrak.com. Thanks.
That was a cool video.